difficult to know where to start with you, really, Kieren, because you've had some life, but you're obviously enjoying things out here.
Yeah, I've been coming here now for a long time. A lot of success over the years. After America and Hong Kong, this is an ideal place to come.
You weren't tempted to go back to America again this year?
Yeah, I love America. California has been like my second home. I'm going there. And I got my first suspension. I got 6 months suspension for an incident at Beverly. And ever since then, I learned so much there about the clock and race riding. It stood to me.
So why Dubai this year?
God, I don't really know, to be honest with you. I love Dubai. America is hard work, whereas Dubai is like a place where you keep fit and have a great holiday. But I just found last year when I was riding in America towards the back end of the year, I had a horse snap a leg with me while I was working and went down, and I was lucky I didn't break my neck, and it's safer here, work in the morning is much safer. But instead, horses in America, I think, are on a lot of medication, and that's when they do. Over the years, you watch the jockeys that get falls, they get bad falls. They say they don't feel the pain, so they don't pull themselves up until then they'll go down. But that's why I like Dubai. The horses here, they're great rides. I've been riding now for Saeed, all good horses, all good rides. And then you have the rest of the day to do what you want with.
Nice. And you and Saeed, you wouldn't be the most likely pairing, but you seem to get on really well.
We've always got on. We always got on. Even when Frankie was riding for him, Saeed would always come up, we'd chat away, Really nice man. I love working with him.
Yes. What have you sat on in the mornings that's impressed you?
Well, a promising run was, I like her. She's a lovely filly. She's sharing grade one the other night. And in particular, I've ridden this horse, Thunder Snow. I think he's a very good horse. Only because Dara wasn't in the morning off, so I ended up getting on him. But no, we get on and off most. I know most of the boys have their own rides, but when they have a day off, we'll swap and change. But you go through most of the horses in the yard, different ones riding and work.
What do you think Saeed's best chance of a winner on the big night is?
Well, obviously the Thunder Snow. We can't see beyond him really. He won well in his first start here, and he's a Group 1 winner. He's a really good horse. And I haven't seen what's coming out yet, from other countries for the World Cup races, but you'd have to fancy him. You'd have to fancy prize money, I know Postbone was a little bit unlucky, but he'd only been here 10 days, and he had a hard race, and he had a good bit of work before he ran, so he would have been pretty spot on, I'd have said, when he ran here. They wouldn't expect him to get beaten, and he did. Obviously, as I said, Andres didn't get the run of the race, but I think even if he did, he still would have had a hard race.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about your take on the big race? Arrogant first, the rest nowhere?
Well, that was my first opinion, but watching him against California Chrome, he looked like as if he was going to go away, and in the end, he had to fight hard, But it's going to be tough having to come out here. He won't be on Lasix, which is a big thing, and he has to travel. They usually do well. The good American horsemen that come here, they usually do well. But I wouldn't have said it's a one-horse race, only for the fact the Lasix in particular and the travel.
Okay, very interesting. And when you're riding these nice horses in the mornings, you come racing at Maidan, see the Group 1 horses. Do you not think, wish I was back there doing that?
I don't, to be honest with you, and I thought I did, only because I probably should have retired a few years ago. I was hanging in there probably when my best days were gone, and I know I wasn't riding as well, and I wasn't really enjoying it the same. But I love riding horses. I love being around them, especially in the mornings. In the afternoons, I prefer to watch them now.
You say that, but your last group winner was, I think, May, so you weren't doing too badly.
The only time that I think I'll miss it is around, is it the first week of May in the Guineas, the one in the 2,000 Guineas. it's been always a very lucky race for me. I won the 1,000, I think 4 times, and 5 times the 2,000, something like that anyway. And you know, it's a great start, a great confidence booster for the start of the year. You know, and over the years I was lucky enough to win 1 or 2, you know, that year. But other than that, I don't, you know, you mean when you lose your confidence, there's no point in, you know, just trying to ride competitively. It's great in the morning. I love it in the morning. I feel great. But I wasn't in the afternoon, you know, especially when I watched the replays. I didn't think I was the same person, you know.
Wow. And when do you think it changed for you?
Probably, well, when I went back to Ireland, I thought that I'd, you know, come back home again. I love Ireland, you know. I love being there, everything about the place. And I thought it would just relight the spark that I needed, you know. But it wasn't to be, really, you know. It is tough riding in Ireland unless you know, Michael O'Callaghan needs some lovely horse, and he's a great guy that we've got to work with. But when you're trying to compete against Aidan O'Brien and Dermot Weld, Jim Bulger, you know, Kevin Prendergast, you know, they have all the best ammunition. Especially at my age, it was never going to work.
You haven't thought about joining them and being a trainer?
I thought about it, and I was going to stay actually in America and start training. But when Michael rang me to come back, I just thought I work, you know. But it wasn't. But I will. I mean, I will soon. I think I'll start. I know I'm going back to work for William Haggis in the mornings, and I've got a few options and a few other things I have to do as well. And it's going to be exciting. But I would, you know, shortly I'd like to start training, or even if I didn't train myself, I'd love to join somebody, you know, and work with a good trainer, you know.
In America, in Ireland?
It wouldn't really make a difference. I'd prefer to work in England because my kids are there, you know. And my oldest son is starting his apprenticeship. So I'd like to be around to help him a bit as well.
I imagine he's pretty decent.
They say he's a natural. You know, I rode out with him once when he was at apprentice school. I went down there they asked me to come in and just work with the kids. And I mean, he was riding a difficult horse, and he didn't seem to be doing anything wrong anyway, you know. It's like everything else, you know, it's all about confidence, you know. He's confident in everything he does, you know. He's a good at, like, his rugby, golf, a very good runner. You know, that's why I thought, you know, he'd, of course he's not light either, but he's not heavy. So depending on his weight and then his attitude as well, you know, and he'll be able to determine that.
And obviously racing's been good to you. You'd still recommend it as a career for someone with the talent?
You'd have to. You know, it's one of the best sports I think you can do. You get well paid. You get to travel the world around one of the greatest animals on the planet, and you can't fault it, you know, providing you can steer clear of injury, you know. You know, and God, that's in the lap of the gods, isn't it? You know. So hopefully, you know, he'll be able to find his way.
When you look back, I mean, your career's remarkable, stable jockey to pretty much every big name in the game. Do you just think, what a life?
Yeah, well, look at it has its ups and it has its downs as well. But I enjoyed it, you know, and I was able to take a little bit out of every yard I went to, you know. I enjoyed every one of them, you know, in particular for Michael Stout. It was a job I always wanted. Since I was apprentice in Ireland, I just always looked up to Wally Swinburne and to Michael Stout. And ended up there, which was terrific, you know. And obviously the legend Henry Cecil. And then Aidan O'Brien, you know. You couldn't do better.
You couldn't. I think it was Sir Michael gave you your last Derby ride, wasn't it? Across the Stars?
Yeah, yeah. I rode 2 Derby winners with Triskin, obviously, in North Light. You know, it was probably the highlight of my time there. You know, I remember North Light winning the Dante, and then going on, I was very confident that he'd win the Derby, you know.
I was there that day. Of all the classic winners, is there one that really stands out?
I'll be honest with you, and not because it's probably my last one, but Night of Thunder would have to, because well, he was a 40-1 outsider, not that it made a difference. I mean, I did like the horse going into the race, even though, you know, there was two very good horses in the race, Australia, and was it Kingsman?
Kingman,
You know, and I got a lovely trip. I was able to follow Kingsman through, you know, and well, the rest is history.
Amazing bit of race riding, really, because he was drifting all the way.
Well, he was, but the one thing about when horses drift, like especially in Newmarket when they're going that way, if you try and correct them or stop them, you stop all momentum, and he'd have got beaten. You know, once they're going forward, you have to let them, especially the way the camber in Newmarket is difficult, you know. But that was, I'd say that was the most enjoyable one.
Wow. And what about all the other horses you've ridden? Is there any one horse that stands out and you've ridden?
I love Dylan Thomas. And I have to say, Footsteps in the Sand, he was amazing. You know, if he didn't retire, you know, I was expecting him to, you know, well, we knew what his targets were, like it would have been the Irish Derby, St James's Palace, and they wouldn't have touched him, you know. And he had a great attitude, you know.
It's interesting. And obviously that time when you won the Arc on Dylan Thomas, that was a really difficult time for your life. You had all these allegations hanging over you. I mean, the pressure then must have been horrendous.
Yeah, actually it was a great weekend, the Arc, you know. The Arc is one of the greatest races, I think, other than probably the Melbourne Cup, most jockeys would love to win. And you know, that was a great Sunday, and on the Monday morning we're walking into the Old Bailey, looking at 6 to 10 years and 9 weeks in the Old Bailey. That was tough. It was something we never done. But anyway, it's history now.
You must have felt pretty hard done by.
Well, yeah, and there's nothing we could do either, you know. Obviously the police took it. I mean, you can't take on the police. And, when it comes out, which it will shortly, about some of the stuff that went on in there, how wrong it was, but we're still here.
And when it was all cleared, that must have been another good day.
Well, a great day, but you know, my career was in tatters. I never recovered after it. And that was the end.
Even though you still popped up and won a few more classics.
Yeah, still hung in there, but as I say, it was tough. Ever since the Old Bailey case, it was always tough.
And sort of looking back, you know, you've had the highs and the lows. Is there anything you'd do differently if you could start again tomorrow?
There's a lot of things I do different, you know, a lot of things. But as I say, I mean, all I can do is, you know, just move on, and hopefully, as I say, my son Kieren, he'll learn from my mistakes.
You're known as a risk taker in the saddle. That's what your fans seem to like you for. Do you go along with that?
No, when I'm riding, I just feel totally different. I'm in a different zone when I'm riding horses. I love being around horses. Even in the mornings now when I go in, you know, talking to them and sussing them out, because they've all different temperaments. And if you can get a rapport with them, you're halfway there.
So is that what it's about, the rapport with the horse?
Yeah, for sure. And it's great if you can get on them in the mornings, if you're riding them in the afternoon. A lot of the time, obviously, we get on horses that we haven't sat in before for the first time. But I think if you can get a bit of rapport when you get on them in the paddock and on the way to the start, you know, it helps.
That's really interesting. So when you leave here, imagine you'll stay till the World Cup?
Yeah, for sure.
Head back to Newmarket?
Yeah, head back down to William Haggis. I went to him last September. I really enjoyed that. You know, lovely horses. You got a great setup, great staff. I think he'll have a great season this year.
Yeah, I think he will as well. And then the night of the future, you've mentioned possibly training. Ever thought about doing any TV?
I don't think so. I just don't feel comfortable, you know. I prefer to be in the background, you know. If I could do something, you know, around the corner, whatever, but I find it difficult, you know. Like I said, I haven't done it just over the years, a few interviews and all, and I just find it a little bit uncomfortable.
You're obviously a massive legend in racing circles. I'm not sure you quite realise how popular you are. Do you get recognised when you're out and about? Do people hassle you and want your picture? And all
yeah, it depends sometimes, all right, you know. But particularly in Ireland, you know, stop off for petrol or wherever, in restaurants or whatever. Not so, well, obviously not really here. In England only sometimes, you know.
Is that quite a nice level of fame? You can go about and play rounds of golf and
yeah, it's great. You know, I love it here.
But you must be tremendously proud of what you achieved.
Well, I don't look at it like that, you know. When you're doing it, you know, it is your job, you know. You don't think of it as like something you enjoy, you know. It is your work, and then there is a lot of pressure, you know. And I mean, you have to, when you're at the top, I mean, it's hard to stay there, you know, a lot of obstacles to overcome. So I think, you know, at the end of the day, even, I mean, you ride 3 or 4 winners or whatever, I think more or less it's a relief more than anything else, you know. I think it's got the job done, you know.
So one thing I wanted to ask you as well before I let you go, it's the one race you've never won that you thought, I really wish I'd won that.
Yeah, Melbourne Cup. Or the St. Ledger, you know. I know it's an old classic, you know. I was unlucky a couple of times when I would have decent ride Scorpion, and that I had to ride in the Champion Stakes. Oratorio was running the Champion Stakes, which is more valuable race, you know, as in money and as regards horse going to studs, you know. But I would have loved to win the Melbourne Cup.
Now you can just train the winner of one.
You never know. Please God.